All I'm doing is answering a few questions for folks today. I sent out an email saying that everything is due by Friday. Um, Somebody talked me into stretching it a couple of days. And your exam, on campus exam, is Tuesday at 2. DE exam, I don't know exactly, and I put on there I didn't know exactly. I'll get back to you. The I don't know if the exam will be. I know it'll be online for the DE students, but what it might be is one PDF file that you print out, do the work, then you have to scan it and get it back to me. So get a scanner ready and make sure it works. And for the on-campus class, if we do it that way, we may as well just do it in here, right? So, because it'd be easier than trying to find a scanner. The DE class, and we're supposed to go for 2.5 hours. So you guys are going to be here from 2 to 4:30 max. Uh, the DE class, I'm going to extend that for 30 minutes because of the possibility of technical issues scanning your papers and stuff like that. So it says all that on there on the email. The other thing is y'all have to somehow um, go in there and do, I don't know where it is, but in Moodle there's supposed to be a way that you can, wait a minute, leave it right there. In Moodle, you're supposed to do a student survey. I'm not sure exactly where that is, but I ask you to fill it out. I cannot see why. Some of this has just been acting up a lot lately. Uh, Come on. Thank you. Um, it says something about it in here for students, blah, 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 tips for taking a final, somewhere in here. Um, I thought there was somewhere in here that tells you how to do the survey, the student survey.
That's the website right there.
Where did they send you something?
Yeah, they sent everybody an
Oh,
email.
okay. So if you got it, please take it. Do fill out the survey. I'm I probably am not supposed to do this, but I always ask folks to be kind on that because they do use it. You know, if I feel like all semester long, if you've had a problem, you can come talk to me anyway. So, uh, anyhow, so this is an issue. Let's see if we can get this on the screen. You think we can get it on the screen? I'll do it this way.
Sure.
See if that'll work. What do you think? We have. Hold on a minute. Um, Accessibility. I forget which where it is. Um, I used to do this all the time, and they just have some. They've moved some things around. Podium software, smartboard presentation, Centra encoder. I think it's this thing, and it's this thing. Okay, so there you guys can kind of see his uh, his laptop. Let's see if this will get any bigger full screen. Okay, so the issue is it's just giving you false, right? No matter what. And I've never seen that. So wouldn't you know? So so you're coming back here, and no matter what, from the very beginning, it just says false. And then for these inputs, which are for your clear and your clock, they're saying undefined. Okay, that would account for everything else. It doesn't see a clock and it doesn't see your clear. So let's look at this. And here is, I know that's difficult to read, but you got your clock input. You've got yeah, and I'm seeing all these. Most of this is done automatically, so we know we don't have a problem there. Then it shows the constant. See here, it's called COK. Did you call it COK up here? Okay, that's important. Then you got all that. You got clock is equal to 0. Wait for clock period. That's not good. This should be clock period /2.
I didn't divide it, that's why.
Okay, and oops, and again /2. Okay, I can't see it. Oh, it's way over here somewhere. There. Okay. Now, what else have we got here? So that should get the clock going. Before you didn't have anything going on the clock, and it just said it was undefined. But that should get the clock going. Here you've got clear equals 1. Wait for 50 nanoseconds. And for your VHDL file, do you have...
VHDL file?
There, it's over here.
And clock is equal to 1, then...
If clear equals 1, then C state equals state 0. Okay. All right. So this is giving us an error. 69, somewhere near N, it says. Great. Near N. I love it when it does.
It's in the test bench.
In the test bench. 69. And there may be more. No, that doesn't look like, that looks like it's it. 69, huh? Damn.
You can just click on that and it'll take you to 69 straight up.
Sorry, where?
If you click on the error, it will take you to 69.
It'll take you right up there. Okay. Here it says near N. So should that be CRO or should it be
CR input.
CRI?
I had only CR in everywhere else.
What do you call these? Just CR.
That's coin return.
So that should be all right. I don't know why it's given an error on that, and sometimes
it's just acting up.
sometimes if we save it, those will go away, but it's not going away. Anybody else see that right off the top of their...
CRO is output as a standard logic, and CR, that's input as an input boolean. Because
See, I don't, that, yeah, it's saying Boolean, and the others it's saying standard logic.
Outputs are all the standard logic. It's either, you know, whatever the value.
Why did you decide to do Boolean?
Mm. When I was doing VHDL, I was doing like NI is one and all that. It was giving me an error. It wouldn't
Okay.
let me go forward. And it was giving me it's a Boolean type instead
Okay.
of a standard logic.
I'm gonna
Mhm.
I'm gonna make a suggestion, and I'm not sure this is it, but I'm taking a educated guess here.
Mhm.
I would change the in booleans to in standard logic,
I had standard logic before.
and if that gives an error, then there's something else we have to do. But this, what I'm afraid it's doing, is let's see. Here's your processes and all that stuff. Here, same thing. They got to be standard logic here.
Let's see, when you go down, uh,
Okay, there may be something else that you're doing wrong, but that's why I'm saying
mhm. But I'll change it and we'll talk
the
after
thing
that.
is that my guess on this is that the boolean is saying that your inputs have got to be true or false, not
One or
one
zero.
or zero.
Right, so I can assign
I
true.
could be wrong on that, okay? But it's a good possibility that it has to be true or false. Uh,
I
um,
can try assigning true and see
we
what
could
happens.
look up in let's look up in Google Xilinx Boolean values. Let's say you're saying they're in, right? In values. I think. Uh, well, it's showing it here as on the schematic. Um, okay, then let's throw. Okay, let's say Xilinx in Boolean values and VHDL and see if it tells us there. See, typically when I say see Boolean, like in C or something else, it's true or false. And I'm not seeing Boolean in here. I don't know if either any of you are or not. That's the first time I have seen something called, or just say, what was it, undefined all the way across, or no, it was false. See, false. That's saying, that's telling me again, this is probably true and false, not one or zero. And I think that's messing you up.
It didn't fix that clock problem either. Like when I did the standard logic as a clock, and you did slash two, and it's still showing me clock as an undefined undefined.
Okay, what? See here, Booleans. The predefined type Boolean is defined as type Boolean is false or true, one or the other. So I'd go back to standard logic on those, and then these are the things for standard logic. You can have uninitialized, forcing unknown, 0, 1, high impedance, uh, weak unknown, weak 0, blah, blah, blah. Those are the values. So this is why we give it 0 and 1. Okay? But now with you having that Boolean, then you gotta say it's true or false. I'm serious. I'd go back to, um, I would definitely go back to standard logic inputs, and then when you're wherever that error is, we need to look up and figure out what that other error is that you're getting and attack that, not this. This is one of those things that I told you about. Even though this wasn't exactly it, where students see it's an output, and they're saying like uh, Q is basically Q of T is assigned, or I'm sorry, Q of T plus 1 is assigned Q of T. It's like you can't have Q on both sides of the equation. It's either an input or an output. And if it's an input, it's on one side. If it's an output, it's on the other. And so what students are tempted to do is to make it an in-out. And there's a possibility of doing that. But the in-out is not the right way to handle it. The way to handle it is through signals, which we've done. Okay? So this is another one of those areas. You handled the problem by making it Boolean, which wasn't the way you should do it. It was right being standard logic. We got to attack that problem from another way. Okay, other questions? The only questions I can answer on the final, all I have ever been able to answer on the final, and I'll tell you right now, most students don't like this answer. You will have one problem that will be a lot like uh, Project 4 and one problem that'll be a lot like Project 5. Meaning, like I've said before, you're going to get a diagram and from there go work out the tables and the K-maps and the circuits and all that stuff. And the other one, you're going to be given a word problem, and from that, you're going to have to come up with the diagram and the VHDL and stuff like that. Now, a lot of times I give an example VHDL uh, file on there that has nothing at all to do with the problem, but it reminds you of things like where to put process, where to put architecture, where to put is, where to put semicolons and things like that. Okay? So, but it doesn't have any, um, it doesn't say anything else about the problem, so it's not going to give you hints about that problem. The problem will probably be more like a some kind of sequence detector. I'm not sure that's what it's going to be, but I've done sequence detectors in the past. I've done stuff like, uh, the beer, water, and cola thing before, but just the VHDL part, not the flip flop and circuits part. So you got 2.5 hours, so neither one can be too super complicated, right? And expect you to get done in 2.5 hours. And I will admit that in the past, I've had a couple of students, one or two, that couldn't get it done. And I had to say, give it to me. And they didn't want to give it to me, so I said, I'm leaving the room. And if I don't have it in my hand when I walk out the door, I'll just give you a 0. And boy, it's fun to watch them scramble then, because I usually get it before I head out the door. And I had one guy that sat down here for the, he's like, no, no, I've got more to do. I got more to do. And I said, I don't care. I'm leaving. And if I don't have it, it's 0. And I left. And I think I got all the way up to my office. And he came up a few minutes later and I told him I wouldn't take the last few things that he wrote down. I was going to take off for those, like 10 points or something, because I wasn't giving him any more time than anybody else. I don't like time tests either, but I make this test. I know the answers when I'm making, and I don't know them exactly when I'm making them up, but I know how to do it. And I make it so I can do the test in about 15 minutes moving, so it's not real legible, but I can work it out in about 15 minutes. So I figure you guys ought to be able to work it out in 2.5 hours, right? For a regular hour and 15 or hour and a half test, I usually do it in about 10 minutes myself.
What questions are you planning to put on it? Do you know?
You have a question about what?
Like how many, any extra questions other than the two already told us?
You got 2 questions.
That's it. Okay, so just two state diagrams. Yeah, that doesn't.
2 questions.
Okay.
Usually that's 50 points apiece. That's why I've been saying for the last couple weeks, do projects 4 and 5. Doing projects 4 and 5 are going to get you ready for this exam. Because project 4, you're supposed to do it with the full tables, with the K maps, with the circuits, with D flip flops, um, and project and VHDL, and then you're supposed to make sure that they're both the same. And I like that because then you can tell if they're right, and if it's not right, you can go back and troubleshoot and figure out where your problem is. Uh, the second one, Project 5, is all VHDL. You don't have to do any of the schematic type stuff. So the VHDL is pretty straightforward if once you've got the problem defined the way you want it.
What if you did it with schematic instead of VHDL? Project 5. And it worked.
What do you mean if you did it with schematic instead of, you mean by going through and filling out the table and doing the K maps and D flip flops and all that stuff?
I mean, just building it in the schematic.
So you're telling me you did the traffic light and you did some VHDL and you made some.
No VHDL, straight schematic.
No, it's supposed to be almost all VHDL. It says it right on there, VHDL, doesn't it? This is a bad time to find out. Uh, it says on there, though, I mean, I'm sorry if you didn't read that real closely, but if you go down here, it says uh, develop the state diagram. It says develop a state table, determine the number of state variables that you might need, write the VHDL code, develop a test bench to verify the operation of the VHDL code. And you get extra credit if you can download it to a Spartan 3 board, which you're not going to have time in 2.5 hours to also download it to a Spartan 3 board. But so it says, everything it says in here says VHDL code. I wanted to see VHDL code on this one. Now, having said that, I realize that the example you have, if you did the traffic light, the example you had showed let's go look at it. Oops. Come on. This machine is so slow. Yeah, it should be able. Now, I realize that for this, if you did the traffic signal and you followed this example, then I understand, uh, why you might have some schematic in there. But the schematic should only be, most of it should be VHDL. The schematic, that's a block diagram, but this should be VHDL in here. This should be VHDL, VHDL, VHDL to create those things. And then, like I did for all of these, and then I show at the very end of this file how to change those into, after I test it, how to change that into, um, oh, I did a lot of testing on that. 2 ways to complete it. Write VHD modules to control it all with VHDL. And I was trying to show you something else, another way of doing things. So we didn't really get to go over this method too much, except for that one example real early in the semester, which was we did a 16-bit adder out of using 4-bit full adders or something like that. So we used this one, right? And so I showed you on here, and I showed somebody earlier today. You go up there, and here's your VHDL file for the whole traffic signal. And when you do that, when you click on that, you can synthesize it, but and you do need to do that. But you can also, you have to come up here and say create schematic symbol. Once you create the schematic symbol, it'll be in a directory under Xilinx or something in yours, and you should be able to go up. And what I would do is, like I did there, I didn't go under all symbols. I just went under my symbols that I created, and it just took my timer, it just showed the ones that I did, right? Because that's all that should have been in my schematic. So here's my traffic VHDL file. Here's my timers, and then I had to have the buffers. But this was as close as it got to a schematic in tying the different VHDL modules together as if they were schematic parts. So, like I said, I'm sorry that you didn't read that real closely, but it does clearly say on there VHDL. So, okay. All right. Anything else? Any other questions? That's it. You guys got work to do, and I know my DE students have work to do. And I'm surprised. I must have said, I know I said something to this class um, about the, let me do this, about the number of states for the vending machine. And it made so many people decide to go to the traffic controller. A lot of people are trying to do traffic controller, and this is the last semester I'm going to have the traffic controller out there. I'm going to come up with something different. The the vending machine is so much simpler because it is so much better defined. It is so clear. I mean, the time or the it's we can visualize a traffic signal, so you can do that. But the example I gave, which everybody seems to gravitate towards, is not probably the best way to do it. You know, I was trying to come up with something to show you another way of doing things. So anyhow, um, for what it's worth, you guys that are doing that, uh, the number of states on the vending machine scared the crap out of a lot of people. I'm sorry about that. It shouldn't have. Uh, you have a lot to do on the traffic signal too. What did I say for the vending machine? I know I said you'd have at least 30 states.
I got 26.
Okay, somewhere around there. Some people, if they made it partly mealy uh, and partly more, they were able to cut it down. I know one guy did it all mealy, which is fine. I only care that it works. And he was able to get it down to probably 16 or 15 states, something like that. But that's not. I mean, that's the vending machine shouldn't have scared anybody. Okay, that's it. I will send out another note to the DE students about the final exam, and they'll know more about when it's coming.